So today it is the second class, and we will just have the glance towards what is the syllabus which is present for the examination which is need to be held, and of course ಇದು ಇನ್ನು ದಿನಾಂಕ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಒನ್. ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಾವು ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಒನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್, ಜನರಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ LPM ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೈರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪೋಲ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಡೈರಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂಡ್ industry, impact of livestock farming in Indian agriculture, then economics of the dairy, sheep, goat, poultry, pig and rabbit farming. And lastly, the constraint of the livestock development program. These are the present in the unit 1. Of course, we need to highlight on every point general concepts of this dairy farming, etc., and we will do it accordingly. Whereas the unit 2 is the livestock production and management. Of course, the entire course is present here. Then we need to learn the common terms used in animal husbandry practices. Many of you may be knowing, but as it is taught in the first semester, many might have forgotten, and we will start it from the beginning. Especially maybe the housing, what is the length of a house, then cattle, sheep, goat, pig, poultry, and many more, including the rabbit, and how to handle all these animals, then restraining, then especially the aging in different animals is based on different patterns, the dentition, then the certain concept, especially of breeding, then feeding, then caring about these animals in different, especially different stages, how to care these animals, etc. We need to learn all those things in this particular course is concerned. Then apart from this one, we need to also have a look on the wild animals, including the breeding, feeding, and taking care of the wild animals. Of course, the zoo animals and routine farm practices of livestock and commercial poultry farming. Routine, that's the livestock farming practice, how to feed a poultry, then how to what is the requirement of a poultry for the feeding, etc. Then the strategies for enhancing productivity in livestock improvement. So this is of course a general topic is concerned. Then we'll learn about these general topics are concerned. Then of course, the economic project proposals for housing and maintenance of the uh, livestock and poultry and lab animals, but we do not know how the question paper will be set out of, because it's a multiple choice question and each question will contain four answers, both in Kannada and English. So we'll see how the economics of this uh, will be worked together, especially the economic projects proposals and other things. Maybe they may ask the questions like how much amount may be required to house a especially 2000 birds, etc. We'll see how it will be there. And of course, the laboratory animals. So we have done a lot of exercise on this thing, and we expect some questions from this thing. Routine farm practices of livestock and the commercial poultry farming. Then the strategies for enhancing productivity. This is another thing through livestock improvement. Then fodder production and management. Okay, apart from this one, maintenance of the labor, how much cost per labor, etc. These are all very general topics. Even then, sometimes we need to be very, very accurate. The questions may be very nearby answering. And the accounting procedure, what are all the columns in a ledger, etc. We need to learn all those things. Then apart from this one, then the unit 3 is the animal nutrition. Then the animal nutrition pattern, as you know very well, you know that the nutrition is also one of the important subject. And in this animal nutrition concept, the general nutrition, the carbohydrates, proteins, fat, etc. Then proximate principles, how the different proximate principles are being calculated. Then apart from this one, the carbohydrates, protein, fats, and the type of digestion and metabolism with a special emphasis to the ruminants, and also to some extent the non-ruminants also. Maybe the horse and the elephant, etc. Maybe it is called, and also the cat and the dog, coming to the domestic animals, the pet animals. Then energy partition measures of the protein quality, water, minerals, vitamins, and the additives, feed additives, feed or fodder additives, and how to grow a fodders. Definitely, the fodder development practices need to be learned. Different type of the fodders, how they are grown, and also what is the role of these things in the livestock development. All these things to be learned in a proper pattern. Then, apart from this one, hay making, then the silage making, grinding, chopping, pelleting, roasting, all these things, making the food more and more palatable. That's also the scope of this thing. And apart from this one, the feeding standards, especially a lot of feeding standards are there to meet the nutritional requirement of the cattle, and in different categories of the livestock and competition rations, especially balancing the carbohydrate, protein, then also the other ingredients, the proteinous nitrogen, non-proteinous nitrogen, rumen degradable proteins, then rumen bypass proteins, all these things, and also maintaining a cost-effective ration. And later, the of course, this will also be repeated in medicines. The deficiency, nutritional deficiency. What happens if there is a deficiency of the trace minerals, then macro and micro minerals, or the carbohydrates, protein, and everything, and its influence on the livestock performance, maybe livestock performance in the terms of the milk production or also the meat production. And the feed supplements, what are all the different type of the feed supplements and feed additives. Of course, this is also dealt in veterinary pharmacology, but nutritional feed supplements we will deal. And conservation and preservation of the fodders, here it will be dealt in detail. How to conserve the fodder in terms of silage making is already there, but apart from this one, how to grow the fodder for a prolonged period and provide it to the ruminants also. Then economics of utilization of agro byproducts, the weights of the agriculture. This need to be dealt in the proper manner. Then feeding up of the livestock is also another concept to us. Feeding up of the livestock. Then apart from this one, we need to also focus on the wildlife nutrition. This is another field where a lot of focus need to be done, especially the wildlife nutrition. And you might have learned, but forgotten most of the things, as I know, because the only the nutritional PG students or other persons they may be knowing this thing. Whereas the apart from this one, the economic utilization of these byproducts of agriculture, especially the feed and fodder, and utilization of unconventional feeds as brewers waste the products of the different waste, areca, especially areca spathe, and many more things are there which are unconventional feeds are there. So we'll also throw some highlight on the wildlife nutrition is concerned, and we'll try to have about some questions. And one thing is, the entire unit 3, there will be about 25 questions will be there, or 25 marks will be there, and we should at least form about 200 questions, then so that we can cover up the nutritional aspect of these things. Okay. Then moving to the next unit 4 is concerned, Then this is the animal genetics and breeding part is there. Uh, Usually the AGB or the animal genetics and breeding. Surely we will focus what are all the different breeds of the cattle and also the genetic traits etc. will be there. And principles of animal genetics, cell structure and multiplication, of course, the Mendel's law, the principles of population genetics, concepts of heredity, heterosis, and mutation. And I have requested Dr. Rudresh and also Dr. Jayashree, if possible, surely we will make them to have certain classes on these things. It depends upon their availability and other thing, or else we will get the PowerPoints from them and we will formulate certain questions which are the multiple choice in nature. But the thing is, I do not know. They may also be involved in the setting up of the question papers. Hence, we do not know how much we will be able. Most of the people they have received it, and if it is there, they are not going to come as the resource persons. So we need to think this aspect also. But if possible, we will also call some of the outside professors or who are having the orations, etc. No problem. We'll see in future course. Okay. Okay, this is one thing. Whereas, or else we will get the notes from those persons and have try to have them in the rather than learning them, we need to understand them in the form of the questions, especially multiple choice questions, how the questions may be framed, especially on these subjects based on the different question paper patterns. Of course, many of them are also available in the website, and it may require some time for us to get accustomed with such a type of the practices, how the question papers are there. And we will also go through certain question papers which are happened in Maharashtra, then also Gujarat, wherever it is there. And UPSC also, there is one subject especially on animal husbandry. We will try to get those things and try to share with you people. This is some of the future performances. And the important breeds of the cattle. Definitely, this will be the definite questions, especially the breeding. Most of this is a favorite subject of geneticians, and they will surely frame certain questions, which are the different breed of the cattle. For example, a popular breed of the Western Ghat area is they may give it as the Halikar, Amrutmal, Malnar Gidda, and other thing. Surely we need to be face the thing, especially the buffalo and different breeds of the sheep, different breeds of the goats, and also different breeds of the dogs. Of course, I have got a very good pictorial demonstration of different breeds of the dogs. Then horse and poultry, with special reference to the economic traits of farm animals. So, which type of the breeds are preferred for getting the very good economic status? So, this is another what you call as the target for us, regional reference, etc. So, the dog breeds, especially, it is depending upon the choice of the owner. Suppose the hunting dogs, the domestic dogs, or the toy dogs, or the which are different types of the dogs for the domestic purpose of the owner. And accordingly, the breeding importance of the species of zoo and wild animals. How to breed a zoo animal, maybe starting from a reptile like the python and ending up to the elephant. So the different breeding characteristic of the zoo and wild animals, and breeding livestock for high performance and disease resistance. So these are the things, and of course we can get a lot of genetic people are there in the Department of Animal Husbandry also. So we will try to have certain lectures from them, online lectures, surely in future days. Of course, the candidates are also not so serious, and once the exam is announced, definitely this will get a momentum. But whatever it may be, we will try to learn it every day. The applications of the recombinant DNA technology, we will learn what's a recombinant DNA technology also, different types, and what are all the techniques or micro or macro techniques involved in recombinant DNA technology. Then another thing is the cloning is also, once upon a time it was a burning topic, but nowadays the instead of the cloning, the embryo transfer, everything is done. But we will have certain basic questions about what's a cloning and what are the basic criteria for cloning, etc. Then the role of gene actions and the cytogenetics also. Then the types of the mating, words of the hand mating, etc. are there. So all these things we will learn with applications of the recombinant DNA technology, especially in the veterinary field, is very important. And we will see all those things. And also the animal breeding policies, what is happening in India. Definitely this will be of very important, and we can surely expect more and more number of the questions, especially the animal breeding and the for policy programs. So more and more, as you are all becoming the veterinary officers, so the breeding policy is very important, especially what is happening in the state and what is happening in the national level. So both of these things will focus more on such type of the things rather than the too much basic things. Of course, the question paper setters will also be the academicians, and we'll see that. And at the same time, they will also focus on the field part, which is required to the would-be field veterinarians. So this is about the animal and genetics, and of course there is our the 25 marks we have allotted to this particular subject is concerned. Then we will go with the other subjects. So this is 25 marks, and we will keep it because there are 12 subjects and 300 marks means each contains 25 marks. That's the thing. So we have to distribute it accordingly. Then the next part is the veterinary anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. All these things are being combined in the here this thing, and we need to learn them in a systematic manner, as I see. Then here, the structure of cells, veterinary anatomy is concerned. The most basic is the structure of cells, cells organelles, the chromosome structure and functions. Then apart from this one, the cell growth, the division, differentiation, and functions. So these are the things. And the next is the structure and function of the basic tissues, especially the epithelium, then connective tissue, muscles, and nervous tissues. So we will see what's a neuron and what's a exoplasm, then dendrite, axon, and so many micro and macro part of the brain, and also the connective tissues especially. So then the next is the this gross morphology of the animal body, histology and physiology of the mammalian organs and systems, different mammalian organs, starting from the stomach, then going to the intestine, then kidneys, spleen, heart, liver, and many more. So, the histology and physiology of the major organs and the organs of sensory organs. So, here it is a combined part of the physiology and biochemistry, hence, they have made the syllabus as the combined one. So, the receptors and other things, which surely we will deal with what type of the receptors, the ligand gated, voltage gated, and the different types of the cholinergic receptor, adrenergic receptor, etc. So we will surely focus on such things are concerned. So then the gametogenesis and the development of urogenital system, especially in an embryo, will be learned. Then the boundaries of the body cavities. So different boundaries are there which differentiate the body cavities, and the pleural and peritoneal reflection in the circulatory system. Peritoneal reflection. So everyone knows that the whenever the pleura or peritoneum are stimulated, they send certain reflexes. For example, if you stimulate the digestive system, the vagus nerve is stimulated, then acetylcholine is secreted, then heart rate decreases, whereas the peristalsis is going to be increased. So, this type of the pleural and peritoneal reflections. So, this is a blend subject, of course, the anatomy and also the physiology. Both are combined here, and we'll try to learn it in a detailed pattern, and we'll try to assign how much classes are required, and when the exam is announced, so we will calculate how much importance we need to give to each and every chapter. Then the kidney and its functions, the physiology of the kidney, its functions, respiratory, animal behavior, growth influence of the environment on animal production, and the biotechnology in animal production. Biotechnology means where the vaccination production, PCR, lab, this lateral flow assay, ELISA, and many more techniques, especially. And apart from this one, the reproduction systems, then electrophysiology of different type of the muscle fiber, especially the action potential, how it is generated, then how it's propagated through the nerve fibers, then how the it is going to elicit the actions in the body, and the apart from this one, next the subject goes the exocrine and endocrine glands are concerned. Then we will also need to study the exocrine glands, which are all the exocrine glands like the pancreas, then also the liver, the bile, all these are exocrine. Whereas the endocrine glands starting from the head, starting from the pineal gland, the anterior, then posterior pituitary, then the thyroid glands, and also the adrenal glands, the gonads, and also different hormones like the growth hormone, starting from growth hormone, oxytocin, vasopressin, then GnRH, then the estrogens, etc. And also T3, T4, TSH, all they are releasing hormones, and the blood composition and the functions. So this is different blood composition and their function. Of course, we will make it as a different chapter because it is not related to the hormones, of course. Then blood composition and the function is a different entity, and we will deal it separately. Then homeostasis, especially how the body is going to balance the homeostasis in the body, that a correct situation, or what we call as balancing some things, will also be learned. And osmoregulation, how the body fluids are maintaining, and the blood clotting factors, different type of the blood clotting, and we will see how much time need to be allocated for everything, because uh, we need to go with certain speed. If you too much drag also, that will not be good. And focusing on some topics where in which we will get lot of questions, that's what we will anticipate, and also get the different type of the uh, questions especially. Then the ruminants, a greenhouse of gases of the ruminants, and you know that every day it is the greenhouse effect, etc., is being dealt, and we'll learn what are all the greenhouse gases. And I have got a very good PowerPoint presentation on these things, and we also got lot of questionnaires, especially the greenhouse gases. Then digestion, then absorption of metabolism of the carbohydrates. But we have also learned this in the case of the nutrition. I do not know why they have repeated this thing, especially the nutrition also same courses are coming, but especially they are referring this to the different domestic animals like the absorption and also the digestion of the carbohydrates, protein, fats, and other nutrients in simple stomach animals. Then also the birds, wherein which the lot of importance is given for the ruminant digestion system in case of the nutrition is concerned. But this is also one of the repetition. Hence, we can combine this both and study in a unique pattern. And more questions will be dealt. Just like yesterday, I do not know how many of you have attended that particular thing. One of the question paper I have been circulated. Okay, this is the one thing. Whereas the Unit 4 is a big subject, especially they have combined almost all the subjects like the you can see here the veterinary pharmacology, even veterinary microbiology, pathology, parasitology, then pharmacology. All these things are being dealt in a single stretch here. So, in the also here also we can show what are all the things need to be learned. And going to the detail of this course, you have to learn especially the etiology, morphology, life cycle, and the uh, transmission of pathogenesis, symptoms, lesions, then diagnosis and treatment, control of prevention of certain diseases, which are very commonly seen. And there's also another subject where you need to focus much and much things, especially. So uh, this is also the another part what we need to learn. And apart from this one, all the bacterial disease, viral and fungal, chlamydial disease of the livestock. In very short, we need to learn about this thing. I think we cannot deal about the in detail. Bacterial diseases, important viral diseases, of the livestock. Then you can also see this is a very vast subject. I do not know how to make it this thing, but anyway, we will succeed in it. Then classification and the growth characteristic of the bacteria. That's another thing. Then important bacterial diseases, especially the of the livestock. Then general characteristic of the fungi and many more things. And nature of the viruses, different viruses which are affecting the cattle, then different viral diseases, immunity, viral immunity, then important viral diseases of the poultry also. Then the vaccinations we need to learn, especially the viral vaccination, then also the bacterial vaccine, but say antigen antibody reaction. And apart from this one, how the antibodies are formed, uh, especially IgG, IgM, and many more things are there. What's the immunity? And once again, the concept of the allergy, then also the anaphylaxis, then the hypersensitivity, the mechanisms, then immunoglobulins, different type of the immunoglobulins are there. Then complement system is there. Then this is about the first course. Of course, later we will come with the etiology of the different diseases here, extrinsic and intrinsic factors. Then also the calcification, gangrene, death, atrophy, hypertrophy, benign and malignant tumors of the domestic animals, means oncology of the animals. We need to study different malignant tumors of the domestic animals, including the cattle, sheep, goat, pig, whatever it may be. So later we will go to the classification, the morphology, life cycle of important parasites. See here, of course, the parasitology is not given as a separate subject. We need to consider this as a inclusive unit. Then important parasitic disorders, especially the helminthiasis, then the protozoal disorders, then arthropod vectors are the tick-borne disorders, especially. And they should be of veterinary importance with respect to the epidemiology, symptoms, pathogenesis, diagnosis, immunity, and also the control pattern. So these are all the things we need to cover under the veterinary parasitology is concerned, and also the detection and management of anti-parasitic drug resistance, how to detect, etc. Of course, uh, we are also teaching it in the veterinary pharmacology, so it's not a problem. And the next one is the concept and cause of the diseases in animals, especially the title indicates it's also the pathology part. And here the how a disease pattern originate, that's the pathology. Then the general principles and the products procedures of necropsy, the systematic way how the necropsy is conducted, then collection and preservation of the samples so this is also very much required for the field veterinarians for the veterinary legal cases are concerned, the laboratory diagnosis, disease investigation, how a disease investigation is conducted, then the veterinary legal cases, how a veterinarian has to do the investigation in the veterinary legal cases, then writing the post-mortem report, then notified diseases. Like recently we know that the lumpy skin disease is a notifiable diseases and many more diseases are notified diseases. And general pathological conditions in bacterial, viral, fungal, chlamydial, then rickettsial diseases. The rickettsia, then also the different parasitic disorders starting from the helminths, then nematodes, cystodes, trematodes, then the tick-borne diseases, also the neoplasm, nutritional, metabolic, and toxicology also, the allergic and anti-immune disorders, autoimmune disorders of the livestock, poultry, then zoo and wild animals. So we will fix it up very properly so that the allergic and autoimmune diseases are very properly they are properly dealt with us, and different type of the questions, especially we will give as a question part every 2 days, at least once syllabus is over we will have a detailed questionnaire and the multiple choice questions which are probable, and most of the time we know that what is the favorite question of different teachers, and we will try to get it done. And emerging and re-emerging cattle diseases already they are very well dealt, just like the foot and mouth disease, etc. And definitely they we will also going to deal. So whenever dealing with the disease, we will also uh, classify them as the bacterial, viral diseases, and also the miscellaneous diseases. Then uh, the etiology of every disease, then the epidemiology where this disease is present, then percent mortality, what happens, then followed by the pathogenesis, how the disease pattern is going to happen, then the clinical signs or the symptoms expressed by the animal, different type of the, and especially in case of pathology, we need to learn the pathognomonic clinical signs, especially. For example, tigroid heart appearance, especially in case of cows with foot and mouth disease, corrugated type of the intestine in case of the Jones disease, and many more, especially the negri bodies in case of the dogs. So all these things we will try to grasp in all the animals like the poultry, zoo and wild animals, then emerging and re-emerging diseases of the livestock. Right? Then, of course, this is my own subject, and you need not worry about this thing. Drugs, hormones, vitamins, their actions, adverse drug reactions on various organs, especially the organ-induced toxicity, organ-directed toxicity, systems of the medicine, veterinary chemotherapy, uh, chemotherapy means it is covering, it's a very broad subject starting from the antibacterial drugs, antimycotic drugs, neoplastic drugs, then enthelmintics, and so many things are there. And surely we will have the very short but very probable questions. We'll try to guess something and add it to the other subject like veterinary toxicology, then pharmacokinetics, dose and routes of the administration, and starting from ADME, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and also the biotransformation of different drugs. Then the this is of course the toxicology. I think more and more questions will be there. Surely more questions will be in toxicology. I expect, as we have also expected in certain UPSC examinations, and general approaches of the diagnosis, treatment of the toxicities, general line of the treatments caused by the metal, non-metal plants, very commonly causing the toxicities in case of livestock like lantana camera, then the cyanide poisoning, oxalate poisoning, then certain heavy metal poisoning, rodenticide poisoning, uh, especially the uh, poisonings which are unclassified poisonings like the certain rare poisoning, accidental poisoning, malicious poisoning, and many more. And agrochemicals like pesticides, weedicides, herbicides. Then the zootoxins like the venom bites, sting bites, and residue toxicity. Then pharmacodynamics, especially, of course, why they have done it here, I do not know. We will need it. We will redesign the pharmacodynamics, especially in the first few chapters itself. So, other than this one, the local and general anesthetics will also be there. Then antidotal therapy. So definitely we can guess certain questions like arsenic dash is an antidote, like the dimercaprol, calcium sodium EDTA is a lead antidote. Then pralidoxam is an antidote for this especially the organophosphorus compounds, and the activated charcoal, its role and other things. So maybe expected. Then the once again this is told as they have told that this veterinary chemotherapy, but the antibodies and chemotherapy, biotics and chemotherapy, they are repeated it. Anyway, we'll try to combine with the above subject and try to save some time. And entire this thing, starting from the pharmacology, then especially the pathology, then the microbiology, veterinary microbiology, then parasitology, all these things, we entire this one, the question may be of 25 hours. So let us not neglect any of this portion, even though it's a knowledge updating. Whereas the public health separate question paper is there, you need to find, or the veterinary public health, then environmental hygiene is there, role of veterinarians in public health, zoonosis including foodborne diseases, concept, scope, objectives, and use of the epidemiological aspect of this public health importance. Then etiology, then transmission of the disease from one animal to another animal. Then also apart from this one, we need to learn like the subjects, especially the OIE, WTO, livestock products and byproducts in relation to the public health, and legislations, especially OIE, then WTO, and National Food Security Standards, FSSAI standards, then socio-economic impacts of zoonotic diseases, especially in case of the India. Then control of environmental pollutants, naturally occurring pollutants. Then establishment of animal healthcare centers or establishment of some hospitals. How to establish these hospitals? Whereas the unit 7 consists of the veterinary medicine, uh, then clinical examination of animal, how to do a very proper clinical examination of the animal, and apart from this one, diagnosis of the diseases, different diseases, methods of the diagnosis, and equipments used for diagnosis. Then the treatment and prevention of livestock and companion and poultry diseases of the bacterial origin, the viral origin, the fungal origin, parasitic, and rickettsial origin, especially in case of the both cattle and also the rickettsial diseases, especially in both type of the animals. Then metabolic deficiency disorders, the bovine ketosis, then also the milk fever, the Moscow syndrome, all these things. Surely there will be lot of questions. Metabolic and deficiency disorders, deficiency of the zinc, phosphorus, and deficiency of the energy, all these things will be there. And the non-systemic diseases of the livestock and also the poultry, which is non-infectious in nature. Then apart from this one, the animal welfare and ethics. Ethics need to be covered by this thing. How the animal transportation has to be done, when to conduct the experiment, what are all the procedures to be followed, and also the ethical consideration of doing the experiments on the animal, just like the CCSCA, Committee for the Control and Supervision of the Experiments in Animals. And common offenses against animals, cruelty to the animals, SPCA, Society for Prevention of Control of the Cruelty to the Animals, then Animal Welfare Board of the India, its objectives, then what are who are all the authorities in it, what is its function, and also the animal welfare organizations. Hundreds of animal welfare organizations are there in country. Then laws relating to the offences against affecting the public health. So these are all some of the important topics, and the marks allotted here is 25, and we need to learn. Of course, when the syllabus seems to be less, but when you start telling this thing, and we need to say where we need to stop, so that depending upon availability of the time, etc., we need to organize such a thing. As of date, the date of examination is told to be January. If it is so, we'll get a lot of time. Whereas if it is not, and if it happens early, then we need to speed up like anything. We need nine, then veterinary gynecology and obstetrics, then anatomy of the female and male reproductive tract. Already it is covered in veterinary anatomy, but then even then we will try to learn this thing, especially in case of this subject. Then also the puberty, the Easter cycle, then the thing is the reproductive physiology and hormones of the reproduction. So it comes as the starting from the hypothalamic hormone, like starting from the GnRH, which stimulates the FSH and LH. The follicle stimulating hormone acts on the ovary and makes the animals to develop the ovum for the maturation and also the ovulation. So the progesterone, which maintains the pregnancy, which is secreted in the initial stage by the corpus luteum. Then also after 3 months onwards, it is secreted from the placenta. Then about the pregnancy, parturition, and all these things need to be seen. And management of the reproductive disorders in animals, the repeat breeding syndrome, the different treatment protocols, and what are all the different or the exact reasons of the reproductive disorders, especially in case of animal. Then multiple ovulation and the embryo transfer technology, the National Livestock Machine, and especially Rashtriya Gokul Machine. They are all very focusing on embryo transfer technology, the sex semen, etc. We'll also see what is the advantages and disadvantages of the sexual semen in case of the livestock, and the uh, ovulation policies or the reproductive problem, especially in case of the zoo animals, will be dealt. Then pregnancy diagnosis. What are all the different methods of the pregnancy diagnosis? The kit method is there, which is very recently introduced, and also the oldest technique, the per rectal examination, how to do it, and also the veterinary ultrasonography. Few of the slides we will surely learn. And quality semen production, especially for higher fertility rate, the how the quality semen production is there, how it is thawed, then how it is stored in minus 196 degree Celsius. So all these things we will learn, especially in this subject is concerned. Then cryopreservation of the embryo, then semen, sperm, artificial insemination, establishment and organization of semen production and artificial insemination is there. So the unit tells the veterinary surgery and radiology. Of course, you may be remembering, as most of you have learned it as the last course. So let us go a little fast, especially when it comes to the veterinary surgery and radiology, because it's a very recent subject. Nobody could be forgotten. Whereas the earlier subjects, especially the veterinary pathology, pharmacology, then the LPM, physiology, biochemistry, then the nutrition, etc., will cover it a little more when compared to these subjects. Okay. the surgical equipments, the operation theater management, asepsis, antisepsis and sterilization, radiography, pathology, diagnosis and imaging, pre and post operative considerations, then as anesthesia, various surgical conditions and their intervention, especially in the animals. Then surgical emergencies, then also the intensive care of the animals, physiotherapy, then also the diathermy. All these things will be learnt in veterinary surgery and radiology is concerned. Okay, the diathermy and different types of the uses of this diathermy, all these things. And last but not one, that's the livestock production technology (LPT). We will learn the layout and maintenance of the milk, meat and chicken processing units, abattoir practices, then methods of slaughtering and dressing, utilization of the animal byproducts after slaughtering, unsound and meat and its the legal disposal, then preparations, processing, preservation, then packing, storage, transportation, nutritional value, quality control, and the marketing of the livestock products and byproducts. So this will be learned, and later there are a lot of laws related to the meat inspection laws, then also the anti-mortem, then post-mortem inspection of the meat. Then there are certain legal standards on QC or the quality control of the meat or the its products. Then the toxicities arising out of the meat, then also the pesticide residues, how much quantity of the pesticide residues are expected, acceptable daily intake, then the prevention of the adulteration in livestock products, especially in the meat, milk, and many animal products or the byproducts. Later, we will also learn about the composition, the quality control, and preservation of livestock products, starting from the milk, meat, egg, and many more. And methods of processing and storage of the livestock products, as the course deals with the livestock products. Then international trades, how to export a meat to the other countries. Then the WTO, World Trade Organization, IPR issues, intellectual property right and its management issues to the livestock products, etc. will be learnt in this course. Then the last course is especially the you can know that veterinary animal husbandry extension. So maybe they thinking that this is one of the subject which is there to propagate all the researchers or the outcomes of all the above courses. They might have done this thing. Concept of sociology, then difference between rural, tribal, and urban communities, social change, factors of the change, principles and steps of the extension methodologies, then the community development aims, objectives, organizational setup of the extension, especially in case of India extension activities, especially the animal husbandry department may give more and more emphasis on the extension methodologies and extension teaching methods. So the training methods to the farmers. So this may be having more focused by the question paper setter, whoever he may be, and keeping the view that the veterinarians are taking this examination and role of livestock economy, identification the social taboos, social differences, obstacles in the way of organizing developmental programs. So there are a lot of government developmental programs are there, starting from SCSP, TSP rules or 12P acts, and also from the different livestock development programs like National Livestock Programs and Go Rashtriya Gokul Mission, and all these programs, what are the outputs and how to get the same. And apart from this one, the concept of marketing, principles of cooperative societies, animal husbandry development planning and product program, key village scheme KVS, ICDD, Gosandhana and Goshala. Say how to make the Goshalas may be profitable or establishment of the Goshalas, and roll up the Gram Panchayat in livestock development. So nowadays, village panchayat scheme or the panchayat raj scheme is there, and basis of the statistics. Here it has come basics of the statistics, then control of the central government, especially the developmental programs. And coming to the statistics, we need to learn what are all the processes for the data analysis, then computational techniques, then animal husbandry developmental programs in the Karnataka state with a special emphasis, and also the government of India, then livestock economics, what is the economics of cattle rearing, sheep rearing, goat rearing, and the poultry. Then how to market it, then the different business models, and also the management techniques need to be learned. Whereas livestock contribution to the nation's economy is one of the important criteria, as it is contributing to the extent of 4.8% to the GDP of the India. Then economics of the animal diseases and livestock losses. I think many questions will be asked on the recent outbreak of the lumpy skin diseases. And in case of these disease control programs, the foot and mouth control program, the brucella control program, LSD control program may also be asked. Livestock trade against transboundary countries, just like the LSD, etc. So this entire thing need to be learned next maybe till December, and we have to learn. That's the important thing one has to remember, and hope in the ways as we go ahead and ahead. Please be with me for the remaining time of the time, and get yourself admitted in time. And every day I will send the link at the time of just 5 or 10 minutes before the meeting starts, because there is a problem of sharing the link and other thing, or else I do not have any much uh, what you call as the status is concerned. Hence, uh, the thing is, today we will stop the presentation to here, and stop present. Okay, then. So today we are going to stop the lecture here, and from tomorrow I will not be available. But instead of tomorrow, I am going to take the class on the Saturday. Tomorrow is 22. I am going to Bangalore for certain official work, and I will be in train. Hence, it may not be possible. Whereas on 24th. Uh, so the classes were earlier reserved from the Monday to this Friday. So since tomorrow I am not available in the station, it will be covered on 24th. So this is the and today. Then any questions are there? Please unmute your mic, and especially you can ask the questions. And what is that? Attendance is less. It's okay, no problem. Let us see what are all the questions is how you are attended, especially yesterday. Only 15 people have attended the questions, I think. Correct answers. And the whatever the answers etc. I think everyone has received with your respective questions or other thing. And this is a multiple type of the thing which may help in ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಸಹಿತ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಭಾಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು, ಬೇಗ ಬೇಗ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೇನಾದ್ರು ಕೇಳೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನಾವು ನಾಡ್ದು ಮೀಟ್ ಆಗೋಣ. ನಾಳೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾಡ್ದು ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ರಜೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು, ಸರಿನಾ? ಓಕೆ.